kids, welcome back to Art with Mrs. B. We're going to be doing something extra. I don't know what's so funny. Using our own hands. Zentangle hand design. Zentangle patterns are unplanned, they're abstract, and you can see that's black and white art made up of beautiful patterns. The drawings are made up of patterns, or tangles they're called, that can be viewed from all four sides. There's no top or bottom. And it's a fun way to increase focus and creativity, and a great way to relax. You can get the family to join you on this one. Fun fact, the Zentangle art form and method was created by a couple named Rick Roberts and Maria Thomas, and it's copyrighted. So they invented that. Some people call them Zendoodles. Let's go over the supply list. You'll need a piece of paper. It could be cardstock or regular printer paper, anything that's white, approximately 8 by 11. You're going to need a Sharpie. It can be a fine point Sharpie or an extra fine point. Doesn't even have to be Sharpie, it can just be a black marker. A pencil and eraser, and some scratch paper in case you want to experiment with creating some brand new patterns. First of all, we're going to start with our pencil and eraser, and you are going to trace the outline of your hand. You can place that anywhere on your paper. Make sure you still have your wrist there, because we're going to include wrist. And you're going to lightly outline your fingers and your hand up to your wrist. Now that's pretty light. Can you get a tighter shot in there, Rye, so you can see it? Okay, great. Now what you're going to do is go over that with a Sharpie. Now I have a skinny Sharpie and a thick Sharpie, so I'm using my thicker one, which is called the fine point, not the ultra fine point. And just trace all around, including your fingernails. And we'll later erase some of those marks that the pencil's still showing. Now I'm wanting to add a bit of my fingernails in there because I think I'm going to add some extra pattern in just the nails. There we go. Now what I want you to do is start to break up the hand in sections. And think about composition, which means you want to have it balanced somewhat. You don't want tiny little sections over here and then a big section over here. You want kind of a variety. So I'm going to create a section here. And if you want to do this in pencil first, you certainly can. Create a section this way. So you're just breaking your hand up into different sections. And the nails can be sections in themselves. Now this is the point where I'm going to erase any pencil lines that are still showing. Okay. There we go. I'm going to start filling in a first section, a little bit of a pencil mark there, with some lines, zigzags, wavy lines, crosshatch, spirals, even geometric shapes, dots, circles, hearts, squares, whatever patterns you come up with. And this is something that can be very relaxing, and you're just repeating. I'm just making these humps, repeating, repeating, repeating. And that is creating a pattern. And I'm going to just keep going with that till I fill that space. As you start to do this, see if you notice how relaxing it can be. Kind of almost like meditating. This is a super cool thing to do when you're maybe not feeling so good or feeling a little down. Kind of takes your mind off of everything. So I've filled my first section with a pattern, but I'm going to also make that pattern a little more complicated. Now I'm the artist, I get to decide how complicated I am going to make it. I'm going to, let's see what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a little hump inside of it, inside of each one. I think that's it for that pattern. Oh, I missed one. And a little bit later, I'm going to fill in a bit of these shapes with some of the black marker. So there's a variety and a contrast of lights and darks. I'm going to move on to the next pattern. Now I love nature, so I think I'm going to make some big leaves, a pattern of big leaves on this one. So you get the idea. I'm going to go ahead and fill some more of these sections in and get back to you and show you what I've done. So just checking in with you so that you can see the different patterns that I have so far. Notice I have a variety of shapes. Some are curved, some are straight. And I'm just going to continue to fill each one in with pattern. Check back with you again in just a minute. Now I have all my patterns in. Now I'm going to work on contrast. I want some lights and some darks. I want to show some white and do some dark. So I've done a little bit right here. I've filled in parts of the shapes with black and also right here on the nail. And I'm going to do so on this nail. Now on some of these shapes it might be the negative space, the space in the background of your section. Let's see what that would be. Well, there's really no background. I've just filled everything with pattern, haven't I? Hopefully you have too. So fill in exactly the same part on each section of one area. See, I'm filling in all the little triangles. I'm going to fill in all of these rectangles in this section. The same one in each of these patterns. I'm going to continue doing that here. I think in this one I may do every other block shape. So go ahead and choose which areas you are going to color in with your black marker or pencil or pen, depending on what you're using. And we'll get back to you in just a minute. So I've just been filling in some of the spaces. I'm filling in the negative space on this section. So the negative space is the space like in the background of this section. These white spots are what I'm considering the positive space, the actual shapes in my section. And in this shape here, I've actually just gone every other box, every other square, and filled that in with black to emphasize that pattern and the contrast of the black and white. And as you can see in all of my other sections, I've done something similar. I've picked parts of the pattern and done each section of that space in the black and left some of it white. So those are the choices that you need to make as far as filling in your light and dark areas of one section and then moving to the next section. So I think mine is pretty much done. I don't think there's anything I would add. I'm asking myself, does it look balanced? Is there too much white left in one spot versus the other side of the hand? Is it too much black, too much white? Does it look pretty balanced when you look at it? Is there anything that's really attracting my attention that maybe needs a little bit more detail than other spots? And I think it looks pretty balanced, and I think I am happy with it. So with that, I will cap my bigger pen, take my smaller pen, and sign my name. My artist name, Mrs. Balkin. I don't know if anybody can read that, but it is there. So just to take another look at the end result of my Zentangle hand. Here's one of them that I just did with you. And there's the first example that I showed that I did before I started the video. I hope you enjoyed your Zentangle hand patterns. And this is something that you could do over and over again. It's very relaxing, and you can always create new patterns. Until next time,